Muy buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm used to do this in Spanish, the last one, so that's why I started in Spanish. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this powerful life, unlocking the power of conscious leadership in times of change. And I want to start with a phrase that, what if I told you that surviving change isn't your job as a leader? It's actually thriving through it. Because right now, in boardrooms around the world, potential is dying in the silence of safe decisions. And that's exactly what we are here to change today. I'm Maya Schmid, Swiss-born, Colombian-hearted, and Mexican by destiny, because with my name, Maya, I was born in Switzerland. I came to Mexico, and it's been now 26 years in this beautiful country. And I have 25 years of corporate experience in companies like Coca-Cola, Mexico, Diageo, Latin America, Unilever Food Solutions, and actually Unilever Foods, have lived in 8 countries. And I was destined also to structured and unstructured. In every single company that I've been, I was the change agent. So, and we know that change is a natural thing and it's the only constant today. Yet, 90% of us resist it. And in organizations, we see that because only 30% of all change initiatives are successfully implemented in a timely manner. They might be successful, but not in a timely manner. And with the change being so dynamic, we need to change and implement rapidly. And it was a pleasure always. I loved my jobs. I actually put and adhered to my last name, always the last name of Coca-Cola. Maya Schmid of Coca-Cola, Maya Schmid of Diageo. And when I left, after having launched many new products, new categories, created new business units, adjusted business models, and underneath that, I didn't know that at that time. And that's why we're talking about conscious leadership. It was my role to implement change no matter what, but I wasn't conscious about it. And it was under every single launch of a new category. In my case, it was the non-carbonated beverages at Coca-Cola. We wanted to do the same as we did with soft drinks. But we soon understood that that didn't happen. Under every single change, there was a cultural mindset shift that happened unconsciously. And that is because generally in corporate, we are leading towards objectives, we set the game plan or the business plan, however you call it, and we have objectives to achieve in a timely manner and go after them. And we look at the processes and we look at everything, but really, are we connecting mind with heart? Or are we just conditioned to continue in doing that? And so in all of those things, why do people resist change? It's a natural thing. 90% of the total population resists change because we as humans don't like the unknown, the uncertain, and change equals certainty. And it's normal that we resist because security, certainty is nowadays with the Maslow pyramid, it's the sixth, but one or the most relevant need of humans is certainty. After right now is actually internet, having the power of energy, then thirst, eating, having a roof under us, and then it's security. And that's why we are so adverse initially to change. Maya loves change. Actually, when she isn't change, then she feels uncertain. But I had to face 90% of the people resisting it and still make it happen. And that's why I created a framework to become a more conscious leader, because it's all about self-leadership, how to really thrive through change. But I have to tell you, the story of my life, how I got to do this. It was my coach that said to me, "You need to become a Berkman coach." I said, "Yes, I will do it at some time, anywhere." She said, No. In 2 weeks, liberate your agenda. You're going to certify yourself. So I did. And I thank her because of her, I discovered my true passion and mission in life, which is unleashing humans' conditioned potential and transforming those toxic environments that are created unconsciously into empowering ones. And here is another story why I'm so keen and obsessed about transforming those environments, toxic environments, which are created unconsciously, into empowering ones. Because my daughters told me, and I know this from many. As I said, I lived in 8 countries. I know a lot of people, a lot of professionals throughout my career. And there are very few people that know how to stop your professional thoughts when you get home. And the impact that we generate when we are in autopilot is unconscious. And we might be hurting our own loved ones because maybe we want our space. We don't want to be there because we're exhausted. Many ways, people getting home and just watching TV and not interacting with the loved ones that waited for you. In my case, it was my energy. And my kids, very smart of them, but it really hurt when they told me, is, "Mom, when we knew that you were coming home from a frustrated day," because we had always connection during the day, when we heard the car pulling into the parking, we would make us sleep because we didn't want to face your energy. And that's why I do what I do. So having talked about all this, we want to do this very interactive. And I'm going to ask you to really put your comments in, your questions, your key takeaways along the side. So what we're going to do today is basically, we're going to go through some questions, and I'm going to give you some context and then ask you. Is that okay with you? And the key objective of this life is you learn how to reclaim your own certainty so you can become your true self and unleash your full potential. Just awareness and start the process to lead with purpose and self-awareness. And third, to transform toxic culture into thriving teams. Is that okay? Wonderful. So, what does conscious leadership really mean? It's more than a buzzword. It's a way of living. It's being conscious about your thoughts, about your feelings and your emotions. Obviously, with a clear north, where to head to. And that's why having a purpose is so important and live the purpose. Because in many organizations, we have a purpose and we put it on the wall and we're not living it day in, day out. Second, awareness, presence, and clarity. Being aware, people, we have good days, we have bad days, but it is our responsibility to change that mindset. Do you know that we can change our state of mind in seconds? And this is part of how to create lasting change. Because we are humans that are 70% not ourselves. Imagine 70%. Because we are our beliefs. We are our values. What my mom told me, what my brother told me, what my teacher told me, what my boss told me. But it's only because we gave them permission and we made it a reality. And out of that, we created a belief that is reality. And upon that belief, we made decisions and we've shaped our destiny. So when we talk about limiting beliefs, everyone has limiting beliefs that we created ourselves. Nobody told us because we decided to create that. And when we are not aware, then we continue being conditioned to have certain behaviors. And it is upon us. That's why conscious leadership has a very important, everything starts with awareness. Because once you have awareness, you can peel the onion, become your true self. Because we are 100% complete since we were born. 100%. And therefore, when we are with that awareness, we can be present in this moment. Because generally, we think about the past. Well, why did this happen? Or we think, the future. And we are not in our presence. So that is about conscious leadership. Leading from who you truly are. Because that's the only way, your authentic self is the only way to unleash your full potential. So if we talk in organizations, yes, we want to unleash your full potential. It's a self-leadership decision because we need to reclaim our certainty first. And we need to believe in it Second, that's also a very key to really becoming your true self. You have to believe in yourself. 85% of women don't believe in themselves. And 61%, I mean, it's not that I'm saying it, it's in research. And 61% of men don't believe in themselves. So they put a shade. And that's when those fears of not being enough, those fears of fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of not being accepted. Those all fears, those are what stands behind that shade when we are not our true selves. So we first need to overcome those fears with clarity. We need to be, because once we own ourselves and we believe in ourselves, then we can really go and thrive. And when you're unleashed in that full potential, then you can create those environments where everyone flourishes, brings out their best version, because they feel understood, they feel listened to, they feel the empathy towards them. And then they can bring that unleashed potential. So, why do leaders slip into survival mode so easily? Because, as I said before, fear of the unknown triggers control. How many of you, and put it in the chat, how many of you have had a toxic boss? And I'll tell you my philosophy now. How many? Unfortunately, 79% of people leaving organizations, said by Boston Consulting Group or by Gallup, by McKinsey, not by me, leave because of a toxic boss or a toxic environment. And that is costing millions of dollars organizations, because to replace one person or the other is 1.5 times to 2 times more the salary, annual salary. I'm not talking about a monthly salary, an annual salary. So imagine how much drain of resources of that impacts your sustainable growth because of a toxic environment. And you know, now my now guiding principle is there are no toxic bosses. They are just unconscious minds. And as Alejandro Ramirez says here, people leave work because of bosses, not because of the company, not because of their jobs. They leave because of toxic bosses. And the worst thing of this is because of a collective unconsciousness. And that's why leading at the top with consciousness becomes pivotal for the success of any organization. So another reason why leaders fall into survival mode is because they take safe decisions, because they have fear of failure, because they have other fears. And those fears become an ego that flourishes. And that's what creates those toxic environments. And besides leaving, that high percentage of leaving, if you are a conscious leader, and if you haven't read my newsletter, I encourage you to read it. It's on LinkedIn. There is a lot of data about what conscious leadership does. In terms of productivity, it increases more than 20% your productivity. It increases your engagement if you have a conscious leader in the organization. And it needs to start from the top. I mean, everyone is welcome to become a conscious leader because it is across the whole organization. Because the more conscious we are, the better we can lead, the more clarity we have, the more we can turn any chaos into clarity, and we can make faster decisions. When we are in survival mode, energy turns into ourselves and we don't express it. So now we saw a little bit the downside of not being a conscious leader. I would love to know, what have you learned about reclaiming certainty? Anyone wants to put any comments in it? You are not, as I said, you are not what this quarter says. Certainty comes from that reclaimed identity that you have within you, and you are complete. From believing yourself that you are capable of everything and that you have everything, even if they tell you, well, you're not that great at it. Hey, you can improve. Life is progress. Life is getting improvement. As long as we have a purpose, where to go to, even a 1 millimeter shift is progress. And in order to reclaiming your certainty, you're going to feel that feeling. And I can make an analogy. What is reclaiming that certainty? Let's say you are in a relationship. You just started going out with a partner, an intimate partner. Or when you say yes to a new job, how do you feel? Certain. That is exactly what you need to feel about yourself. Wow, that's a great observation. The key word is yet. Not good at it yet. Yes, exactly. And it's progress. And to add certainty, we need to celebrate every single step, because that validates us in believing in ourselves. So we can really start thriving. And it's a decision. First, you need to believe in yourself. The second one, a big one, you need to decide to reclaim that certainty, to feel yourself, your true self, and be proud of yourself, because every single human being is a divine creature, and we are here for a mission to be put to life. And it is a decision. That decision is made even if it's stormy inside and outside. And then you need to commit to bring it into action. But you need to train that. That's practice. You have practiced to become who you are until today, every single day, no matter what the age is. If you're 20, if you're 30, if you're 50, You have trained to be that. So if you want to reclaim your certainty, become your true self, and unleash the full potential, you need to really train yourself. So how does self-leadership become a competitive advantage? Wow, what a question. It's the base of trust and confidence. It is, because when you self-lead yourself with a true north, then you can become aware when a negative thought gets into your mind. And then you need to interrupt that negative, be it by breathing, by meditation, going out for a walk 5 minutes. Go and listen to your favorite music, and then you turn into who you want to become. One of my colleagues at a Coke, which is now also a wonderful entrepreneur out there, she said, if you're not yet that what you want or need to become, then fake it until you make it. That was Susana Goitia. She said that, and it's so true. You need to train to become who you want to become. When you lead yourself well, you create clarity for others. And how important is that? You are present with them. You can feel, you can listen more clearly to them, and you can read in between the lines what is going on and where maybe some stuckness or something like that, to change that into positive. Do you know that the negative thoughts contage 4 times faster than the positive thoughts? So that's why we as leaders need to take charge and self-lead ourselves. So it multiplies in many decisions, in presence, in decision-making, in performance, in engagement. And that turns into productivity, into more communication among people, because they are their true selves. They are not wasting energy. Oh, what would they think if I say this? Or I better don't say it because they're gonna make a judgment on me. Can you imagine if we can release that energy into something positive? What's the turnout? It's exponential growth for the company. It's more productivity. And the best of it, if you feel good about yourself at work, how are you going to get to home? You're going to be your best version at home too. And that will impact your kids, your loved ones, your parents, whoever, your friends, everybody. And they want to have then that secret sauce, creating a better world altogether. Any questions? Any comments? Anything until now? Now, how do you move from managing change to thriving through it? Well, I've already mentioned why you can thrive through it. When you have a big purpose, when you are unleashed, and where your energy is at your highest vibrational level, problems become small, very small. So then it's much lighter to thrive through it, and not just survive it, because we are going to we'll have more clarity, faster decision making. we are going to communicate openly. We will collaborate openly. Because when we are in survival mode, we don't communicate, not because we don't want to communicate. We're just too busy in our minds. Oh, are they going to fire me? Or am I enough? Or what are they going to say? You know, that all that energy, let's leave that behind. But for that, we as leaders need to create a safe environment for them, a learning environment, a listening environment. So all these engagement, collaboration, communication, and productivity can really flourish. So, and as I said, it's super, hyper, duper important to really lead with a purpose, because then we have a clear north. And with that accompanied, we have focus. Because nowadays, with all the information out there, everyone wants to sell you something or whatever, and then a new idea and all that. If we have a clear purpose, then we can focus it. And when we focus, distraction can get in. Don't waste your time in distracting yourself. And that's part of becoming a conscious leader too. And those empowering environments really make people bring out their best. And something that we need to embrace is change our relationship with uncertainty. Uncertainty, the unknown, is going to be there forever. But if we are certain, we give that certainty. We anchor in that certainty in that moment. Anyway, what happens to teams and cultures when leaders make the shift? What do you think? It opens up a whole new space. People will speak up. They will feel valued. Your retention rate will be increased by plus 34%. Because if they will feel valued, they feel belonging, they feel listened, and that they matter, and that it has a meaning, especially with Gen Zs. You need to communicate in a different way as with millennials or as with Gen X. Actually, nowadays, it's the first time in history that we have 4 different generations working together. And one of the biggest challenges is communication. So by really, when you make this shift to become a conscious leader and you create that environment of empowerment, then all these things happen. And this is not just blah, blah, blah. It is truth facing facts on engagement, on productivity, on retention. What are practical tools to move from fear to clarity? And this is something that we can start right now. When there is a situation that you don't agree with or that punches your buttons, no matter why, no matter what or why, but it punches you, breathe. Breathing is an amazing tool that calms you, that centers you before reacting. Count to 10. Remember? Before you react, count to 10. And then it's already, the hype is already a little bit lower. Daily check-in. Am I leading from fear or clarity? If I'm in fear, go and breathe, walk, run, listen to music, 5 minutes, not more. But center yourself again. And you open intentional communication. We have to be very, very careful with the words that we use because we can impact negatively a person without, a lot of times we say, well, that's the how I am. No. We do have the control of ourselves to use specific words when we communicate effectively. And that comes with the focus. And that comes with living in purpose. Because communication is the way that people understand where you're coming from and where you're going. How are we doing? Any comments? And how do you lead from the future you already see? You don't have to wait until you are fixed. You can start right now, and it's a decision that you can take right now. Decide who you want to be and act like it now, even if it costs you. Might be difficult, but every millimeter of progress leads toward, makes you closer to where you want to be. And celebrate it, because we don't celebrate enough. I catch myself a lot of times. I've had a wonderful call. I had a wonderful presentation. I had something, and you say, oh, it was good. Oh, it was good. It was natural. It's part of me. No. Because probably you prepared in a different way to show up in a different way. So it's amazingly, it makes wonders. And put your future into the present. Live your purpose right from today. Yes, it's going to cost you. You are conditioned differently, but live it right now, because no one has it bought. Oh, yeah, when I retire, I do this. Oh, or when I'm in the next level, I do this. No. We need to live today with the presence of today and living in purpose. Because when mind and heart are connected, only passion can come out and be expressed. Can you share with me a quick story where this made a difference? Who wants to share something? I can tell you one story. I had a boss, one of the bosses, that for me at that time was a little bit toxic because she was a control freak. She was across overseas. I was leading a regional job. I was in charge of whole Latin America. And she was very controlling. I would suggest, no, you have to do this. I said, well, at one point it got to that very painful for me. And I said to her, so-and-so, if when you control every single step that I want to make in this region and you paralyze me, because that's how control impacts me, and you're not going to get my best version out of it. Please, I ask for trust and confidence. You hired me to lead this region with this brand. And at that point, she said to me, now I understand where you're coming from. and our relationship changed. Speaking your truth and acting your truth is gold, because then you liberate energy and you can again vibrate at your highest level and best version of you. And that's being part of a conscious leader. And that changed the whole trajectory. And we started also growing. I mean, it had multiple factors, but that was a big one where I could be my best version, my true self. But I had to speak up, right? Anyone wants to share something? Ask yourself, if there is one thing that you take away from this session, is am I leading from fear or from clarity? And ask yourself every day, and maybe multiple times during the day. Because when we lead from clarity, then we can make faster decisions. We can be more empathetic. We can listen actively. We can talk with clarity, communicate with clarity. We are present in ourselves. And as I said already, awareness is the first shift that you can take home today. Now, if we think about it, what role does emotional intelligence play in conscious leadership? It plays an enormous role, because that's when self-awareness plus empathy plus regulation comes into play. That's emotional intelligence. Leaders with higher emotional IQ have higher engagements from their employees. And what leads higher engagement? They're more committed, they communicate better, they collaborate better, and that ends into more productivity, which then ends into exponential growth. See how important that is? Now, what are the biggest blind spots in C-suite leaders today? Control. Because they are shading some insecurities. That is definitely one of the key blind spots. The control is always insecurities of our leaders, and it's unconscious. Not noticing how they impact. I didn't know the impact I had in the outside world, and especially into my kids, with not coming home at my fullest potential. And that's a really blind spot. Nowadays, that's why I do what I do. And also, we see a lot of avoidance of feedback. Feedback is good. But when you have a situation where you need to give feedback, start with the good. Why is that? Because then you start from another place, but really meaning it. Because as I said previously, negative thoughts are 4 times stronger to be contagious outside than positive thoughts. So we need to be positive so the negative doesn't come up to us, you know? And And another question is, how do you create psychological safety in your team? And I know here are some specialists about psychological safety and that have created fantastic teams in big multinationals. And when he shared, and I mean Alejandro Ramirez, when he shared what he does is really getting to know the people, listen more than speaking. Right now, I'm speaking too much, but when you are in a conversation, listen more than speaking. Isn't that? And that needs practice. Reward learning, not just the outcomes. Because when we learn, we can fix something. When we fail, it's really not a failure. When things doesn't come out as we planned, the learning curve is much higher and the impact in the improved version is much higher. And here we're almost at the end, but we still have for a couple more questions. And I would love to hear what are some thoughts that have come up to you, some experiences. Let's share and give it a minute or so. If you can share in the comments and then have a little conversation about it, that would be cool. No one? No one is there? Shall we continue then with the questions? I have a question for you guys. When facing change, what's your biggest challenge as a leader? Anyone? Is it staying clear in uncertainty? Is it keeping my team engaged, managing resistance? Or is it maybe your own energy? You know, you can have the perfect process, but if the energy is not right, that can turn and make a project a failure. So we have a lot of responsibility when we are leaders to really embrace that change. Now, let's see, what daily habits can we do in order to keep the Thrive energy? And here is a very, very good thought from Alejandro. Making sure I provide clarity and confidence to my team. That is really, really important. If we are clear, we can provide clarity and confidence to the team and make it a safe environment. Thank you so much, Alejandro. So some of the habits, some of the tools that you have are very easy to grasp. The importance here is to be persistent and consistent. Reflection journaling. I journal and it just brings out everything that I have in there, the good, the bad, the ugly. And it just is an amazing, amazing tool. If you do it in the mornings before you get up or at night or both ways, it is a way of really getting back to your center. Mindfulness, be it meditating, be it doing any alternative way of listening to music, of dancing to music, of any tool. And certainly check-ins with yourself and check-ins with your teams. Those are some very simple tools that you can start applying today. The cost when leaders don't evolve into conscious leaders, we know it. People leaving, high costs of replacement, productivity, engagement, working in silos, and that all turns down into lower performance. We even lose creativity, burnout, and toxic environments. I mean, the statistics says it, 4 out of 5 leave. So we better do something about that so we can retain them. And what are the signs of how culture is shifting? People speak up more. People become more open. People contribute more with their ideas without fear of being judged. Curiosity replaces blame. And the room's energy becomes a lot lighter. That is so, so important. The energy will feel light. And when the energy feels light, you will participate, you will collaborate, you will communicate in a much easier way. What trends will define the next decade of leadership? Well, the next decade of leadership starts today. It's not the next day, but it is about conscious leadership. It's about human AI energy. It's about emotional intelligence and self-awareness, and definitely about purpose-driven leadership. It's about self-leading ourselves. It's about being with us, regulating ourselves to always bring out your best version. And with that, you can thrive through any change. Obstacles become smaller. And while you do the thriving part, you are creating a safer environment for everyone to flourish at their highest potential. So we are just almost at the end. And there is one more question. How can people join this shift right now? You with you. Start with you. When you are at that point, self-lead yourself, and that will have a ripple effect. I have a story of one of my clients. She was the only one that did my 8-week program, on conscious leadership. And her objective was to learn how to empower her team. Well, after the first session, she said, well, I have to self-lead myself first. What was the result of really becoming a fully 100% self-leader and conscious leader? A ripple effect, not only on her direct reports, but on the whole employees. And this was for a school. So on the students and on the families. And they all got impacted. So one person impacting maybe 500. It is time to take the lead to yourself. Now, we are at the end. And you don't need to wait for change to slow down. Survive. This is a constant, and we better live with it and adapt it and embrace it. Surviving is not your role. it is thriving. And that shift starts the moment you choose clarity over fear every single day. Invest in support, coaching, programs, community of like-minded people, because you will need to support. And this is the shift that we were talking about, and it starts with you. Now, thank you for being here. Thank you to take that time to learn more about conscious leadership. And can you please share your biggest key takeaway of the session? It would be kindly appreciated so everyone learns from each other. And then if you can tag someone that you would love to see this live, because you know you can help them transform into their better version starting from today. If you want to explore more about how conscious leadership can transform your team and culture, send me a direct message and we'll start a conversation and see how I can really help you. Let's schedule that call. Don't wait. I'm here to help you transform you and your team. And thank you so much for all your wonderful presence. And here, Juliana Trujillo. Thank you so much, Juliana. Another big hug from distance. Oh, I appreciate all what you're saying. This is just my journey, and I'm open to share even more and help you through that process. And if it's only for a coaching call, take on that offer. I'm glad to have a coaching call to give you some tips to move forward. Yes, it is not easy to really go, but it is your decision to take on that change towards your self-discovery, because everyone here is 100% complete, and everyone here is capable of really becoming your true self and unleashing your full potential. Thank you. Looking forward to meet somewhere on the way. And I wish you all the best on this journey. And please take one small action today. Thank you so much, Alejandro. Thank you for being here and being so participative. Juliana, gracias por estar. Gracias por darte el tiempo. Gracias por aprender y por escucharte a ti. Eres una mujer maravillosa. Bye bye.